Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law through this channel. I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this is a genuine investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video, we're going to be looking at MMTLP with big questions for Greg McCabe, including resolution. We're also going to be looking at tick symbol SMCI, supermicro computer, and asking the question, can it 3x from where it is right now? And also I'm going to be sharing with you a huge catalyst and date for SMCI to watch out for this week. So before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So first of all, from Market Watch, we can see the opinion is that the Fed hasn't tamed inflation yet, and the stock market has yet to figure that out, and that's one of the reasons why we have had a little bit of inconsistency. And if we have a look at now from Fox Business, we can see the Fed is cutting rates to get in front of the future, resetting debt, and we can see again a huge week for earnings. So if we have a look at the market here, again significant number of stocks that we are looking at, including Palantir, SMCI, ARM, Airbnb, and also HIMS. So I'm going to share some projections first of all for ARM. ARM Holdings is expected to beat earnings. The consensus estimate is 25 cents per share on revenue of $808 million. That represents a 0.4% year-on-year revenue growth. And if we also now have a look at another stock that we're watching, tick symbol HIMS, also known as Him and Hers Health. This stock that also featured on the previous channel as one of the top ranked DD stocks in our new DD top ranked channel, and we're looking at consensus earnings estimate of 6 cents per share on revenue of $382.09 million, and this represents a staggering 68.5% year-on-year revenue growth. So keep an eye out on HIMS. So I'm going to start by having a look at tick symbol SMCI. So in our new live trading and data alert section, some of the latest news that we are getting through. First of all, from sentiment point of view and Wall Street Bets, the post there are stating that SMCI right now we're looking at a bullish outlook, and also we're looking at significant SMCI calls. So we're going to have a look at some of these potential buys for SMCI shortly as well. So what I'd now like to share with you is what's recently happened in terms of the market cap, which was $119 billion around about March 2024, and since then we're looking at $50 billion has been wiped out. So that's quite staggering and one of the biggest declines I've seen in market cap for a long time. However, the question is, has it reached its bottom? But before we look at that, let's have a look at the history of the share price, and we can see here going back to January the 31st 2024, it was trading around about the $52.96, and at that time the yearly to date change was 86.3%. and then we can see February $86, March $101, so that's representing close to a peak. And then if we look at all the way down to October the 31st, right now $29.11, and I think currently trading close to $26. So what I now like to share with you here in terms of news, first of all, earnings is going to be on election day, so that's very interesting. Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024. So the consensus earnings estimate is 51 cents per share on revenue of $6.52 billion, and this could represent a 207.6% year-on-year revenue growth. And if you remember what happened last time they had the earnings beat, the share price went up staggeringly. So the guidance was for earnings of $6.69, and we can see here also the next thing I'd like to share with you is with regard to a $5.8 million dark pool buy. So this was also shared in our Discord, and the price there is $27.76. So does somebody know something? So what I'd now like to share with you is a copy of the income statement, and I think the figure that we're looking at here is the revenue growth year on year for June the 30th 2024, 109.77%, and the revenue went from approximately $7.1 billion to $14.9 billion. Again, operating profit very close to doubling, just in excess of $1.26 billion. And the other thing I'd like to share with you here is the balance sheet, and again very impressive figures. If we have a look at the latest figure, June 20 June 30th 2024, the cash growth is 279%. So again, staggering there. And what we can also see at the bottom, total assets have also increased from $3.6 billion to just in excess of $9.9 billion. So again, absolutely tremendous figures there for SMCI. And in my opinion, I do think right now the price is at a buy. But again, the volatility is huge, so it's one to trade with care. But I certainly think this is one which could have a nice bounce back. I'll look at some of the huge questions for Greg McCabe, including the question on resolution. So what James has stated is, with regard to the MMTLP price, it would have gone much higher had it not been for the U3 halt. And what surprises him is, with regard to John Burdett and Greg McCabe, and also to everybody else, is why did John sell 15% of his MMTLP shares so cheaply if it was not nefarious? And many of us had planned to sell in the tiers during the run-up, but almost all of the retail did not sell. And what Scott has stated here, again an allegation, speculative I think, is that McCabe sold 6.8 million shares and made around $58 million. I don't think there's any doubt with regard to McCabe selling shares. I think the question is, did he make the $58 million? So I think that would be more the case of something that needs clarification. So I'm going to share with you here now the letter sent with questions to Greg McCabe from Scott, and this is something that he is also going to be using in his lawsuit. So I'm not going to go through all the questions, but I'm just going to highlight some of the ones that I think we can address. And he states here, these supplement prior questions. First of all, he states, how many companies do you own? I'm not sure why that is relevant, but obviously I am aware that Greg McCabe owns approximately 40 companies. So obviously if there is a reason for that, I'm sure Scott will explain that. And he also states, why did TRCH register a website for Nextbridge hydrocarbons in 2020? So that's an interesting question. I think I would like an explanation for that, because that is way before anybody expected the Nextbridge hydrocarbons to exist. And the other one is, did the Oro Grande produce any assets for the company? Because that was the biggest asset. That was the one that everything was obviously everybody had their expectations for. I think the answer is no, but let's see if there is a response. I am not expecting a response. He goes on to say, what efforts have been made by Nextbridge to obtain a resolution with regard to the share balance? And I believe the efforts are going on in the background. The S1 is still not been approved, and I'm hoping and still having trust in Greg McCabe to give us some information. He has stated he's pro retail, he's pro the MMTLP army, but we do need a little bit of communication. I think that has been lacking, and maybe he has got good reasons for that. I know he did communicate through one of the shareholders, so that was obviously beneficial and useful. But let's move on to now have a look at the other question in the second part of the letter, and that is, what is the strategy to bring in revenue? So I'm sure revenue is important for the company, as we all agree, and obviously they've lost Oro Grande, although in one of my previous videos I did share with you that they are speaking to the university lands and potentially looking to get the Oro Grande back. So that will be something going on in the background. And I do think the university lands were very quick to withdraw those leases, even though there may have been issues. So he goes on to say, now with regard to the shares, he states here, you sold approximately 6.8 million shares between the 1st of November 2022 and 8th of December 2022. How much did you make? When were those sales executed? And when was the last trade executed by yourself in MMTLP? So what I would say to that is, obviously at that time Greg McCabe was not an insider at Meta, and he's still never been an insider at Meta, and as a shareholder he was entitled to sell, just like all of us. I think the key question would be would he have had inside information, and I think the answer to that would be no, unless it is proven. And then he goes on to say, did you receive information telling you the U3 halt was going to happen? I am certainly confident that FINRA would never communicate with Greg McCabe to tell him that. So if there is another mechanism to find out, we will have to wait and see. And then 23, he's talking about what are the total barrels of oil produced by Nextbridge hydrocarbon wells for the inception of Nextbridge to the present day. So again, according to financial statements. A lot of that information is available. However, the figures are quite insignificant in terms of the company being regarded as something significant from the point of view of revenue generation, far long away from profitability. So it's something we're looking at for them to have more exploration and more discovery. And the final question I'm going to share with you here is 26, and this is with regard to a person by the name of Chris Wenzel. And this is an interesting question. Can you confirm or deny that Chris Wenzel approached you to buy 40 million shares of NextBridge shortly after the NextBridge offering of 8th of February 2024? At what price did you offer the 40 million shares? So I'm not sure if this Chris Wenzel person is who he is, but before we look at Chris Wenzel, I'm going to give you a response. We haven't had a response from Greg McCabe, but we have had a response from John Berder, which I think is interesting. So what John Berder has stated is, on behalf of McCabe, he will state here he's going to leave Greg McCabe to defend himself, but he truly believes the insinuations are way off base. He did nothing but put the shareholders first, above himself and above his own personal gain. And I think the reasons why John is saying that is because Greg McCabe has invested his own money in the company to keep it afloat, which is extremely important. And all of the compensation John received is documented. And again, John was also a normal retail investor without inside information. So he states here he's never paid anyone to post on social media. McCabe and him, when the merger happened, were non-affiliated shareholders of Meta and MMTLP, no board membership, no board officer duties, no restrictions and abilities to do anything. NextBridge did not bring in McCabe until after the spin out, and that was quite a while after the spin about. So he believes the accusations are entirely off base. However, not to say he does not support his efforts against Ari and Schwab. So I do agree with John here. I think Ari, in my opinion, is the real culprit. I think the broker dealers are the real culprit. I think FINRA with the U3 halt are the real culprits. But he does not support the efforts to punish NextBridge and McCabe. So it's a case of let's see how this develops. So let's now move on to Chris Wenzel. So if this is the Chris Wenzel that is being referred to, this is somebody here on X, and if we can see a response from a different Chris Cox, he states that Chris Wenzel is a shill and who had no intent on buying the 40 million shares, and probably a good reason why McCabe didn't respond. So Scott is saying, tell me who to trust. So the question is, the answer is to that question is 100%. Do not trust Chris Wenzel. So he may have completely lied. I think that is there's a significant amount of credibility in that. I don't believe Chris Wenzel was obviously serious in any alleged offer to buy the 40 million shares. He goes on to say, in his opinion, Ari seems the most logical path, not showing shade on people who have been working towards resolution. So let's see how this develops. And finally, thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.